I'm going to show you how to navigate the Bureau of Labor Statistics website because it's a really handy tool for finding information on the average income for any specific occupation when you're looking to impute income to someone on your caseload. So I just typed in BLS.gov and I go to the homepage of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I'm going to go right here to Data Tools. I haven't navigated all these different functions, but what I have found is that this one right here, one screen, works really well for what we're looking for. So up here is a summary, kind of a table of contents of everything you'll find down here below. And I already know that what I'm looking for is pay and benefits. But what you see here is all these different categories: inflation and prices, employment, unemployment. As you might know, the BLS provides information for all kinds of different sectors, for state EDDs and all that stuff. But for our purposes, like I said, we just want to hone in here on what people are making in specific industries and in specific geographic areas. And that's where pay and benefits will help us. So we're under the pay and benefits section here now. And I already know where I want to go here. I'm looking for the OES survey, and that stands for Occupational Employment Statistics. A little bit of background. This survey is done, I believe it's once every 2 years for employers, asking them statistical information on how many people they employ in that occupation and what the income is for those occupations. So I'm going to, let's see, click in here on one screen, data search. And then we're brought to a page that gives us yet another series of options. Let's see, for what we're doing, multiple occupations for one geographical area is going to get us where we need to go. And for all of this, I encourage you to, if you ever have time, sort of navigate and see what else you can find on the website here. But for this presentation, I want to take you right to where we need to go. So I'm going to click on multiple occupations for one geographical area because I've found that to be the best. And then what's really nice here is when you click on that radio button, you can search either national, state, or metro. In our scenario, we're looking to impute income to Mr. John Flipper. And so we're going to assume this is a Nevada County case. In Nevada County, a lot of people commute to the Sacramento area. So I'm going to click here on this button. Now, I have found in the past that sometimes when I click on this button, nothing happens. I don't get this box. So it can be a little glitchy. That may depend on the version of your browser and the browser you're using. But oftentimes when that happens, and it didn't in this scenario, but if it did, I'll click on state, and then I can click back here, and then that dialog box will pop up. Okay, so as you can see, it lays out the geographical areas by state in alphabetical order. So we're going to just scroll down here to California, and we have all the major areas of California. And as I said, a lot of times folks that live in Nevada County commute down to Sacramento, Roseville area because there's a bigger market there and oftentimes higher pay. So for Mr. Flipper, because of his qualifications, he's beyond the full-time minimum wage. There's going to be an expectation that in his occupation, people that do construction management for work oftentimes have to commute for the work that they do. So that's why we're punching that in. And then you'll see here, there's a list of occupations. And the one complaint I have about this website is that it defaults to expanded menu options. And I think it would be great, I'll just show you what I mean, if they did it this way, because otherwise you have to scroll through all the subsectors of each occupation listed. And I think it would be great if it defaulted to a non-expanded menu. So as it is right now, if you're looking for an occupation and you don't know where exactly to look, it could be helpful to just go through here and do this. So you kind of create a table of contents for yourself, right? But I'm not going to do that for each one of these because I know where I want to go. But that could be a helpful way so you're not just scrolling through tons and tons. As you can see, there's a lot there. So what I do know is that based on John Flipper's experience, I'm going to look not just for construction labor jobs, I'm going to look at management because I think I have a pretty strong case for arguing that he can be imputed as a construction manager. So interestingly, construction management is under management occupations. So just be aware of that. If you look at a specific trade or industry, depending on what level that person's employed in that industry, you may not find it there. You may find it in sort of another catch-all section like management, right? I think most people, if they're thinking about imputing based on construction management jobs, would probably go to construction first. So it could be a little bit counterintuitive. And that's why it's good to know kind of all of the different areas that BLS lists under its website. And one other word of note is that the BLS has defined phrases, and so it has a methodological approach to how it categorizes certain jobs. And I'm not going to get into the technicality of that, but it's not just kind of a willy-nilly thing. They put a lot of thought into how people are or employers are reporting what industry they're in. So enough about that. I'm going to click on construction managers here. And remember, we're in the Sacramento, Roseville Art and Arcade area. So then when I click next, it's going to pop up one additional box. And so now we're really down to what kind of data we want to see in this report. And what this is you're just filtering out a huge amount of data that BLS keeps on their OES surveys. And so you're just kind of narrowing in on the specific data that you want for your specific need. So what I like to use a lot of times what I'll do is I'll hit the control button because you can select more than one here. I like to use hourly mean, annual mean, and then the percentile range for each, and the median wage. Okay, so maybe you want that, maybe you want less. Depends on, I guess, personal preference. But I'll sort of, as I generate the report here, tell you why using percentiles can be helpful. So you can do this as an HTML document or as an Excel document. I'm going to choose Excel because it actually has a more printer-friendly format when you do it that way. And the whole idea of this is that you're going to present this as a piece of evidence in court. So Excel just kind of is more user-friendly for that purpose. I'm going to hit Submit. And then a lot of times, as you see, it drops down to your tab. It doesn't open in a box on your browser. So let's open this up. Pull it over here. Okay, so there's what we're looking for, right? So the hourly mean wage for a construction manager in the Sacramento area is $57 an hour. Also, the annual mean wage is $118,600. Now, what's really cool here is that it breaks it down in percentiles. So you don't just get, the average. You can also get kind of the range and the percentiles that each range is in. And all of you have gone to law school, even if you don't like statistics. Everybody knows about percentiles because we all had to take the LSAT, right? And we all wanted to be in that higher percentile, which meant that fewer people in those higher percentiles are hitting those numbers. So what we know, if we look here, 75th percentile, 68.37 an hour, that's going to be 25% of people in this industry. Okay, I really like Steve Eldred had a point on this, and what he thought of was, what if you took the percentiles to the experience and the skills of the individual you're looking at, right? So if you had a construction manager that had 20 years in the field and really in-depth knowledge about what he's doing or she's doing, then you could use the 68.37 an hour. And of course, you could argue that in court, right? That experience would kind of back up that imputation. Whereas if you have someone that's, maybe they only have a few years, or for our example with Mr. Flipper, since he's never worked in a position as an actual construction manager, though he has the skills and experience of having managed construction sites, maybe you go to the 10th or the 25th percentile. And that's going to be dependent on what you're comfortable with. So I'll let you make those decisions as what you think you can back up in court. For myself, a lot of times, just giving each person the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to trend a little bit on the lower side. I also want to make sure I maintain credibility with court. So I don't want the court to think that, we're just trying to maximize the amount of support that's going to be ordered on each case. And so I found that balance works for me. One other thing is that you're wondering, Paul, how am I going to get this introduced into evidence? And I've tried to supply some template motions for you or documents for you that will help you. One of them is going to be a request for judicial notice. And that is probably, if you can get it over a hearsay objection, is probably going to be the most straightforward way of getting this done. The other way you can do it is to submit a declaration that this is the record of a public employee. What's nice about this is, unlike a business record, you don't have to be and you don't need a qualified witness or a custodian to get that in. You just need to be able to explain how the BLS does its job and just show it's reliable. I mean, I think one of the obvious things here is that basically the entire economy and all the employment things that you hear that come out of the federal government, they all rely on the BLS. So I think that's a pretty good argument for saying that all of this is going to be reliable. Anyway, I hope you find this as a useful tool in your daily practice, and thanks for listening.